Now let's get to our top 6 headlines at 6.
Lincoln police now believe a missing couple, Hannah Neville and Roberto Tanner, are both dead. Police have been searching for them since Hannah was first reported missing earlier in January. A second couple, Sterling James and Sadie Titus, are now in custody in connection to the case. James is charged with murder and his wife Titus is accused of assisting in the murders.
The chair of the Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission resigned today, less than 9 months after Governor Pillen appointed her. The governor will appoint the replacement.
Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother is missing. Arizona authorities say they are investigating this disappearance as a crime. Investigators say Nancy Guthrie could not have left her Tucson home on her own.
Nebraska Medicine is now asking a judge to dismiss its own lawsuit against the University of Nebraska Regents. That suit was trying to block the university from taking over Clarkson Regional Health's stake in Nebraska Medicine in an $800 million deal. The Nebraska Regents replaced most of Nebraska Medicine's board of directors last month, days after the lawsuit was filed.
Republican leadership hoping to advance a funding package to reopen the federal government. Lawmakers are expected to vote on that bill tomorrow. This afternoon, President Trump called on lawmakers to put the bill on his desk without delay.
Breaking tonight, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says all Homeland Security officers deployed in Minneapolis will wear body cams moving forward. President Trump says he's on board with the move because, quote, people can't lie about what's happening.